Welcome to The 7 Skills of the Sports Mind. I'm Jeffrey Hodges. This cassette is the first in a series of audio cassettes on mental conditioning and emotional training for improved sports performance. The information contained on this cassette and on the others in the Sportsmind series will provide you with practical skills and techniques that you can use now to significantly improve your sports performances. Whether you're a runner, swimmer, or cyclist and want to cut seconds off your race times, or a golfer, lawn bowler, or tennis player wanting to play more consistently to your potential, or a footballer, cricketer, or basketball player wanting to be more motivated and positively focused on your goals, Sportsmind will help. Whether you're a full-time athlete or a part-time competitor, the skills of the sports mind will help you get more out of your game and out of yourself. The content of the Sportsmind training program is based on the very latest research in cognitive and motivational psychology, self-image psychology, and the exciting new fields of accelerated learning and neuro-linguistic programming. Accelerated learning and neuro-linguistic programming techniques are extremely powerful performance enhancement technologies, and they offer sports people an unequaled opportunity to release negative behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes, and develop the kinds of positive, motivated beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that characterize champions. Sportsmind is leading the way in new mental conditioning programs for improved sports and personal performance. As you have probably already realized, the mental skills of determination, positive focus, concentration, persistence, and so on that are so essential to peak performances in sport are also the same skills needed to succeed in business, in education, and in other areas of your personal life. So, as many other people have already discovered, as you develop the 7 skills of the sports mind and improve your sports performances, you will also notice a positive spin-off in other areas of your life. As you develop your motivation in your sport, so you will develop motivation for your work or study. As you develop better concentration in your sport, so your concentration will improve at work or college. As you develop a more positive attitude on the playing field, so too will your personal life benefit from a more positive outlook. Here are some comments from just a few sports people who have already benefited from Sportsmind training. The feedback I received from athletes and coaches was extremely positive. From my observation, I also have to say it was the best presentation in this area of any clinics or seminars I have organised. Tom Brandt, State Coaching Director, Queensland Athletic Association. 2 bowlers have excelled since your Sportsmind clinics. Kelly won gold and silver medals in international competitions, and Ian won the Queensland State Masters event at the State Championships. Barry Warren, State Coach, Queensland 10-Pin Bowling Association. Your seminar has been very beneficial and I can't say thank you enough. The following Tuesday I won the weekly golf competition, and then on the Friday I scored 43 Stableford points, slicing 2.4 off my handicap. The following week I defeated the ladies club champion in handicap match play, which left me with a very warm feeling. Since attending the seminar, I have dropped 4 shots off my handicap. Thank you doesn't seem enough, but nevertheless, thank you. A. O'Connell, golfer, Victoria. If you're serious about playing at a higher level in your sport, then I strongly recommend attending a Sportsmind workshop, or better still, a Sportsmind holiday training program. Because there is only so much you can learn from a book or a tape. Workshops allow you to experience all of the Sportsmind techniques and skills firsthand and learn how to apply them in practice to your sport. If you're interested in finding out more about Sportsmind, or you would like to enroll in a Sportsmind workshop or a Sportsmind holiday training program, please write or telephone me at the address provided on the label of this cassette. So now, look forward to a program of Sportsmind instruction that will positively change your whole life. Before we get started, let me explain a couple of things about how to make the most effective use of this tape. First, you will note that Side A provides a spoken summary of the key principles of Sportsmind, while Side B comprises a practical sports improvement, relaxation and visualization exercise. Obviously, it's suggested that for safety's sake, you don't listen to Side B while driving a car or doing anything else that might require your full attention. Secondly, as with all of the Sportsmind tapes, I suggest that you listen to this tape a minimum of 6 times at spaced intervals. Research has shown that most people forget over half of everything they hear today within 24 hours and only remember 2% of what they heard a week later, unless they re-listen or involve themselves in the listening process in an active way. Which brings me to the last point. Do involve yourself actively in listening to this material. I have provided stop and think pauses at regular and appropriate intervals, and I encourage you to stop the tape at these places and think about how what I've just spoken about relates to you and to your sport. Doing this will allow you to personalize the knowledge and practical techniques to your sport situations. So let me begin by asking you to stop and think right now about the skills of the sports mind. What mental skills and qualities do you think are important to performing well in your sport? Stop the tape now and identify the mental skills you think are important. Welcome back. What mental skills did you think of? I've identified 7 key skills which all sports people want to develop and maintain before they can reach their potential. These are positive motivation, goal orientation, concentration, anxiety management, self-concept, positive mental attitude, and visualization and mental rehearsal. If you've thought of others, they probably can fit into one of the previous 7 categories. Let's look at and discuss them one at a time now and learn some practical ideas to improve each of them in yourself. Sportsmind skill number 1, positive motivation. Some people don't do well because they aren't motivated enough. The interesting thing is that you can improve your motivation in the same way that you can train yourself to play a better forehand or improve your golf swing, so too you can train your motivation. How is your motivation? Are you energized and enthusiastic about what you're doing in your sport? If you're not, if you're saying to yourself, I have to go to training, or I've got to work on my fitness, or I should get up earlier and train for an extra half an hour in the mornings, then you're not managing yourself effectively. Positive motivation comes out of desire and wanting, not from shoulds or have-tos. Stop and think. How have you been motivating yourself lately? What words have you been using when you've been talking to yourself? Have there been any shoulds, musts, or have-tos? Stop the tape now and think about how you've been motivating you. Welcome back. There's an important principle here that you really want to understand, and I'll be coming back to it time and time again as we work our way through this Sportsmind program. It's simply this, that all behaviours have a structure, a mental program which enables us to do that behaviour. We all have mental programs for positive behaviours like motivating ourselves, for concentration, for optimism, for learning, for decision making, and so on. Negative behaviours such as shyness, anxiety, pessimism, depression, and so on are likewise the result of a mental program. Even though at times it might seem like some behaviour just happens to us, like getting nervous before the grand final or getting nervous when asked to speak in public, or even intangible behaviours like being happy or feeling lonely. All behaviours are a direct consequence of a mental program that you're operating, are a consequence of something that you're doing in your mind. In other words, what you do in your mind affects your behaviour and, of course, affects your sports performances. This is such an important principle, and it's vital that you understand and accept it now. In regards motivation, then, we can ask, what mental programs lead to strong motivation? Here's a hint. Have you ever watched children on Christmas morning? Have you ever had to motivate them to get out of bed on Christmas morning? Hardly. Why was that? Because they wanted to get up. They were looking forward to what they were going to do that day. Now relate the question to yourself. Think about something that you really love to do. Maybe watching a really good movie with your favourite actor or actress in it, or out body surfing in a good swell, whatever. You don't have to motivate yourself to do those things, do you? So the key to positive motivation is wanting, desire. I believe that the more you can choose to live your life and do tasks from a want to, choose to way of thinking, rather than a have to, should way of thinking, the better your life works. So how do you build desire and therefore positive motivation? There is one very obvious way. Can you think of it? The answer, of course, leads into the second Sportsmind skill, setting goals. You build desire and therefore positive motivation by setting goals and having dreams for yourself, don't you? So now, before I leave motivation and move on to goals and goal setting, let me give you a practical hint on how to build your motivation from now on. Every time you hear yourself say should or have to about a task you're undertaking, stop and change it to want to. Of course, if you're a coach, this information is doubly important. Stop and listen to how you've been talking to your players. Are you building want-tos based on strongly desired goals? Or are you telling them they should train harder or should be more determined to win? Sportsmind skill number 2, goal orientation. Some people don't do well because they don't know how to set sports goals and targets and how to develop an action plan to achieve them. Have you set yourself goals for your sport? Have you written them down? Have you developed an action plan for how to achieve them? Stop the tape now for a couple of minutes and think about what you want to achieve in your sport for yourself. What do you want to achieve in the short term and the long term? If you're not driving a car, do write your thoughts down on a piece of paper. Stop the tape and do this now. Welcome back. In 1953, a study was undertaken at Yale University in which they asked all of the students who were graduating that year to write down whether they had a goal and whether or not they had a plan to achieve that goal. 20 years later, the researchers interviewed the surviving members of that class of 1953 to determine how their lives had worked out, whether they'd achieved their goals, what they were doing now, and so on. Back in 1953, only 3% of the students had a clearly defined goal and a strategy for how to achieve it. In 1973, the accumulated net worth of those same 3% was worth more than the combined worth of the other 97%. There is power in knowing what you want, in choosing what you want, and in committing yourself to achieve it. An important step in the process is writing your goals down. There is a saying, as soon as you think it, ink it. And this is particularly appropriate to goal setting. So if you haven't already done so, do write down some goals for what you want to achieve in your sport. And do remember, all behaviours, including goal setting, are a result of a thinking process, a result of a sequence of thoughts. So it's not good enough to just set a goal or have a dream, or even just to write them down. You want to think about them regularly. Action follows thought, particularly thought with feeling. So here's Sportsmind hint number 2. Think regularly about your goals, and especially think about the feeling of having your goals achieved, and use that feeling to inspire and motivate you. There is a lot more information on goal setting that I will share with you in a later tape. But for now, let's move on to Sportsmind skill number 3.